Alright, so when we talk about the budget segment, like especially under rupees 15,000, the Xiaomi Redmi series has always been the standout. In fact, last year, the Redmi Note 10 was one of the most easiest phones to recommend under rupees 15,000, be it the design, be it the camera, the performance, and the battery life. Everything on that phone was great. Now, in 2022, Redmi has launched the Redmi Note 11. And while the Note 10 was one of the most easiest phones to recommend, with the Note 11, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not saying it's a bad phone, but there are definitely things that I feel do not make it as much of a successor to the legendary Note 10. Now, why do I say that? Well, this is one from GTR, and you're watching my in-depth review of the Redmi Note 11. Let's get started. Okay, so let's start off by talking about the design here. Now, as you can see, I have this comparatively boring finish here in this blue tone, and personally, I don't really like it. The Redmi Note 10 had a design that was very attractive, very appealing. With the Note 11, I mean, it kind of follows in the same design language, the evolved design that Redmi calls it, which sounds good. And to be honest, this is a lot more slimmer as compared to the Note 11. But the look of it is not that appealing as the Redmi Note 10 was. Now, speaking of the build quality, this is a plastic back, and obviously it does not try and emulate some sort of glass finish here, and as a result this definitely looks a lot more boring in comparison to a lot of other devices out there. I mean, we have phones like the Realme 9i which offer a plastic finish that kind of looks like glass, and we also have devices like the Micromax in Note 2 that offer a proper glass back. So this kind of finish does feel outdated, or at least not at par in terms of the competition. The good part here is that the in-hand feel of the device is definitely good. It's ergonomic and all the buttons are placed very well, and the phone just fits very nicely inside your hand. Also, weighing at 179 grams, it's not super heavy either. Now, like I said, we have the Horizon blue color variant with us, but you can opt for the polar white or the space black color. Apart from all of that, in terms of connectivity, the phone has an IR blaster. It has a 3.5 headphone jack. It has dual nano SIM card support and a dedicated micro SD card slot. So overall, the Redmi Note 11 has you covered in terms of ports. The phone also gets Gorilla Glass 3 protection for the display, and it also has an IP53 rating, which means the phone won't get hurt from light splashing and dirts. Now, despite having an AMOLED display here, which I'll be talking in a bit, the phone comes with a side-mounted fingerprint scanner, which I don't really mind. I personally don't really like those in-hand displays, and the side-mounted scanner here works very snappily when it works. So yeah, that's good. Why I say that? Once again, stay tuned till the software section because there are some bugs here. Alright, so moving along, let's talk about the display. It's a 6.43-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED panel with a 90Hz refresh rate and a 180Hz touch sampling rate. You get a peak brightness of 1000 nits and support for DCI-P3 color gamut. On paper, this definitely sounds like one of the best displays that you can get in this segment, and in reality, that's pretty much true. I mean, the panel here is super vibrant. The colors are very good. They just look popping. The brightness levels mean that you can use this phone outdoors easily without any issues. I mean, you have phones like the Moto G31 and the In Note 2 that do come with an AMOLED panel, but the Redmi Note 11's display easily surpasses all of them. Also, the high refresh rate definitely comes in handy for even normal browsing in your social media apps, just navigating through settings, or especially when you're trying to play games. The high refresh rate with high touch sampling rate definitely comes in handy over there. Also, the panel does come with support for wideband L1 certification, so whether it's Netflix or Amazon Prime Video, everything works flawlessly in full resolution, no issues there. Also, while we're on the topic of content consumption, the display is very well aided by the support of stereo speakers here. Now, I'm not going to say it's pure stereo, there is obviously like a 60-40 balance here, but nonetheless, the audio output is loud, vibrant, and quite crisp. So overall, this is great for content consumption, no doubt. Okay, so next up, let's talk about the performance. The Redmi Note 11 is supposedly the successor to the Redmi Note 10, a jump up in numbers. The phone features a Snapdragon 680 processor, a jump up in numbers from the Snapdragon 678, which was there on the Redmi Note 10. All of this sounds good on paper, but in reality, the Snapdragon 680 in itself is not an improved version of 678. In fact, the 678 on the previous phone was a far better processor. The 680 processor here is Not good. Well, at least not better. It's good, not better. The 680 uses the older Cortex A73 cores, and coupled with that, you get UFS 2.2 storage and the Adreno 610 GPU. And in terms of benchmarks, the phone performs decent enough, but I won't say it's super amazing or something like that. Now, as far as everyday tasks go, they are pretty decent, no issues as such, and overall it's a lag-free experience. As for gaming, we tried games like BGMI, Call of Duty, and Asphalt, and in BGMI, when the game settings are set at smooth, the game supports 30 FPS. Now, if I'm being honest, the gameplay here is pretty average. It's not the best out there, and yeah, it's great for casual gaming, but definitely not for intensive gaming sessions. In fact, in Asphalt 9 Legends, the device just stuttered occasionally at random, so you can't even pinpoint it to one specific issue. Also, while we're on the topic of performance, the Redmi Note 11 comes with MIUI 13. So on paper that sounds good, but MIUI 13, that's based on Android 11, not 12. I mean, if you're launching a phone right now, please, man, come on. It should have come with Android 12. And the worst part here is that Redmi is not even giving an official timeline on this. They're just saying that yes, Xiaomi complies with Google's everything, all of those update status and stuff. But nope, no timelines for when the update will be out. And that's just really disappointing. Now, as far as features go, MIUI 13 is one of the most overloaded in terms of features for an Android custom skin. So you won't have any complaints or any sort of shortcomings over there. So that's good. The problem is that we did notice a couple of bugs here and there where the apps just failed to launch. There were animations that were just being slowed down randomly, and the phone just basically went into a laggy mode for random no reason, and there were some times of crashes as well. Now, we did try resetting the device multiple times, but the issues did persist. So it's safe to say that the software experience on this is, well, overloaded with features, but still sorta buggy. Now, of course, Xiaomi's track record in terms of fixing all of that has been pretty good. So I'm pretty sure Xiaomi will definitely be rolling out an update for this sooner or later. And sure, all of those bugs will be gone. But I just feel if they're rolling out updates, it should, like, the first priority should be ensuring that this thing comes with Android 12 as well. Of course, the bugs will get the highest priority, but when the next update arrives, it should come with Android 12 as well. Also, speaking of bugs, remember when I talked about the fingerprint sensor? Well, one problem that I faced is that half of the times the sensor won't just unlock the device directly. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that it's a fault of the hardware, because the phone definitely detects the fingerprint has been scanned, and even there's a sound that plays that yes, your device has been unlocked, but the device just doesn't wake up. You have to keep pressing the power button again and again to finally just wake the device up and make it work. I'm saying, like I said, it's very buggy. Sure, that Xiaomi will fix it, but for now, that is a bug that I've faced. Next up, we have the battery life. Now, the phone comes with a 5000 mAh battery and comes with a 33-watt charger inside the box. Now, for a phone with the Snapdragon 680 processor and a 90Hz AMOLED panel, you can easily get by 1.5 days of medium to heavy usage, which includes a lot of basic tasks, music playbacks, a few gaming sessions, watching a couple of movies, and just using social media. Now, if you keep it on 60 Hz, then obviously you can even stretch it to 2 days of usage. Now, the good part here is that you get a 33-watt charger provided inside the box, and you can take it from 0 to 100 in just over an hour. So that's nice to have. Next up, let's talk about these cameras here. Now, on paper, the phone comes with a 50MP primary sensor, an 8MP ultra-wide sensor, and a combo of 2MP macro and depth sensors. Up front, you get a 13MP selfie shooter. That's basically the same sensor as last year's Redmi Note 10, where the primary sensor has just been modified. That one had a 48MP sensor, while this one gets the 50MP sensor treatment. Now, if you're going to be bumping up numbers, I feel 48 to 50 is not that much of a significant number. Instead, what Redmi could have done is included a 5MP macro sensor. I mean, that sensor just changes the whole game altogether. These 2MP macro and depth sensors aren't going to do anything. I mean, nobody actually uses them. The details aren't there and doesn't really help in your portrait modes either. Xiaomi did introduce those 5MP sensors on the Redmi Note 10 Pro and Pro Max, and it would be really nice if Xiaomi had included those here. Well, it is what it is, but let's see how this camera performs. Now, in daylight shots, the device captures crisp and clean shots. The shots have good colors, but there were some shots in which contrast issues could be seen. Some were high in contrast, while some of them were pretty low. Now, HDR shots also came out average on this, even if you're in good lighting conditions. The black levels are not really up to my liking, but I'm sure a lot of folks will still find the shots acceptable. I mean, the overall result is definitely good, but yeah, I mean, it's just the Redmi Note 10 did set the expectation levels a little high. Now the ultra-wide sensor here is also good, but we can see a shift in the white balance and color reproduction in some shots if you compare it with a primary sensor. Moving on to low light shots, the photos came out soft and noisy. Now some low light shots came out to be a bit muddy as well, but it is to be noted that once you move to low light conditions, the camera performance drops in a big manner. Now moving on to selfies, I would say they are average at best. And in some scenarios, if you have good lighting conditions, the shots are decent, but I mean, it's nothing really to boast about. For videos, the phone is limited to 1080p 30 FPS and that's about it. Now, just to be clear, I'm not saying that the Redmi Note 11 has a bad camera setup or the performance is bad. It's still good, especially if you consider the price and the competition. But it's just the fact that when the Redmi Note 10 was launched, at its time, it had one of the best cameras in that segment. And you would expect that Redmi would live up to that throne. Right now, the Redmi Note 11 performs just above its competition. It's not a clear-cut winner, which you can see in our comparison videos as well. So basically what I'm trying to say is that Redmi could have done so much more with the camera setup, but a lot of factors feel missed out on. Maybe things will get better with the new updates that will come in, and maybe the camera setup will just become far more better. Well, at least the performance output of it, because you can't change the hardware, obviously. But yeah, that is something we will definitely be discussing in our long-term review of the Redmi Note 11. So make sure that you subscribe to our channel and have the bell icon turned on for that. Now, the Redmi Note 11 comes with a starting price tag of 13,499, and for that price, it's not a bad phone. The only problem here is that a lot of phones in a competition have learned from the Redmi Note 10 and have basically upscaled their devices like the Moto G31, the Realme 9i, the Note 2. These are great phones under rupees 15,000. The Redmi Note 11, like I said, is once again a very good phone. It's one of the best phones to buy under rupees 15,000, but it's not the phone to buy under rupees 15,000. That is what has changed from Redmi Note 10 to 11. Maybe things will change after the updates, but for now, well, you do have a lot of competition cut for this device. And well, that was it. As always, if you're still interested in buying the Redmi Note 11, I'll leave a buying link down there in the description box. Also, if you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to our channel and have the bell icon turned on for whenever our future videos goes live. Till then, this is one from Guiding Tech Reviews, and I'll see you in the next one.